Hey guys, you can start your copy of Halloween H20 in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi there. This is Mindless Insanity 602 reporting to you at the Nightmare Central with the final thing of our fourth annual 31 Days of Horror Film Reviews. And since it's Halloween Day, I'm gonna be giving you a special treat, and that's me giving a commentary to Halloween H20 20 years later, because I feel like this would be a perfect one to do a commentary for. This film has the beginning of has that classic music that we have seen in Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2. Anyways, Halloween H20 20 years later is a 1998 R-rated 86-minute horror thriller from director Steve Miner. Um, please, 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 bear with me because I've been up since like 9 o'clock last night, and I've been watching all the Halloween films. And this is the seventh film. This is the seventh film in the marathon. Um, then we have about three more films to go. So please bear with me if I'm not really a talkative mood and stuff. Um, anyways, we are gonna be talking about Halloween H20. And yeah, the film features Marion Hagens, which she was the girl in the first two Halloween films. There's our little introduction to Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's been a major star as of late. You pretty much pretty much know about JGL, is what he refers to as. Yeah. Yeah, that's what JGL is referred to as. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Mm-hmm. Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Mess with me here. You've been suspended 5 times and you're already forgetting a little crazy with me. All right?
Yeah. Yeah. This film has a pretty decent beginning. Yeah, it's pretty decent. Atmosphere as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing up here? Sure. Yep. I checked all the rooms and all the closets. Nothing. But they did a real number on your office. Yeah. Just not right away.
Yeah.
Oh, and also the next step.
One thing cool about this one that's easy because it's the shortest Halloween film. So that's something. I ate a lot of food today, so that's something. I don't know. I'm not really the best commentator or whatever. That's the way things is. Sounds stupid. Talking like a fucking silly ass. You're basically just watching me watch the movie. Yeah. Boring dude. As you can see later on in the beginning portions, they use the Halloween, the Curse of Michael Myers mask. And I don't really think of this movie as a direct continuation of Halloween to 1981, as many fans do. I think of it as a continuation of Halloween, the Curse of Michael Myers. Sure, it does some things that I wish it acknowledges them. I wish it acknowledges the events of 4 through 6 better, but it's the way things are. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm bad to the bone. I was originally planning on doing this commentary with a buddy of mine, but I've started this earlier because I couldn't wait. Was really excited, and I apologized to him And yeah. Hmm. Yeah, and you're probably seeing this at a later date than my usual 31 days of horror film reviews. Because, you know, I've been like watching 7 movies. 6 movies actually before this. Hmm. 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 I'm kind of mixed on this theme. It's pretty epic. It's pretty epic, but it's a little bit too epic for a Halloween film and less atmospheric. This is Steve Miner film. He did Friday 13 Parts 2. Parts 2 and 3. He's a lot more appreciative to this film, understandably so, because this film is better than Friday 13th Parts 2 and 3. I like Friday 13 Part 3. And Part 2 is not a very good movie. But this is something that he's more accomplished, more a big fan of. Yeah, he did the Day of the Dead remake, which is awful. This film, I don't know which one got shot first, because you see there Josh Hartnett's in this movie. I'm sure that this was filmed before The Faculty. The Faculty, which The Faculty is a good movie. I actually really enjoy The Faculty. I think it's a really rock solid film. Yeah, the problem is I have with this little narration is that's not it's not Donald Pleasant's I think very muscular buff guy. I think it's Michael Caine, not Michael Caine, not Alfred from The Dark Knight, but I forgot the guy's name. Let me research that. I'm sorry, I'm not very informed. Okay. Excuse me, shit. I'm so sorry. Tom Kane. Yeah, Tom Kane, who I think he did it was a part of a Halloween fan film, which is decent. Halloween fan film is usually pretty good. I don't know. Yeah, you get to see the corridor. It's opening the scene up. Secluded. Maybe this is like some sort of foreshadowing of the events that's going to occur after and later on in the film. You open up the door. Yeah, you open up the door and there's Josh Hartnett and the Carrie Tate. There's a clock. It switched to Halloween. Pretty cool. Here's the portion of the film where you get to see Michael slam through that door like thing in the original, stabbing at the thing. Then the film wakes up, and then Lori is shaking. Clearly Rob Zombie, which I'm about to personally watch his films after I'm done with this, and Resurrection, and I'm gonna watch those soon. But it's clear that Rob Zombie took this certain plot element and applied it to his inferior film, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which I think it goes without saying that is the most inferior Halloween film out there. Sorry, fans of that movie. But there we go. We got Josh Hartnett, who does a good job in this movie. I really don't have no problem. This film takes place in Summer Glen, California. This is the second film to take place in a Californian setting in the Halloween films. First film to take place in a Californian setting is in the fictitious town of Santa Mira in Halloween 3. So I find it kind of cool that that we're getting to this I think a legit location. Although there's a few things that contradict this in this film and both Scream, but I heard somewhere that how this movie and the first Scream take place in the same universe. So that means that all the Halloween films take place in the Scream universe. Apparently, Jay and Silent Bob are in the Scream universe too. So we have a big fucking universe in those things. So the Viewisk universe, the Scream universe, the Halloween universe. So yeah. I like that there's a little bit more drama in this film. One thing this movie is a bit of a curse and a blessing to the franchise. If you ask me, it messed up the timeline a little bit. I don't really think it messed up the timeline as bad as other fans claim to be, but I kind of appreciate that we're getting away from the Thorn cults, the Druids. Although I love Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers and Halloween 5, don't get me wrong, but I'm very appreciative that we're getting to a little bit more of a character-based film instead of a strictly horror-based film, as seen in Halloween 5 and 6. I appreciate that we're, getting back to the basics a bit. Halloween 4 had the basics. Halloween 2 brought the basics back to the franchise. I think the person she was talking to was the director, Stephen Miner, in that scene. We're getting introduced to our buffet of characters. There are 4 characters. They're all good. I'm more preferential to the Resurrection characters a bit. I think Resurrection has a better catalog of characters. But that is going to be after this. And plus, here we are with the Highway 139, Northern California portion. We're getting to the rest stop scene, which has a fairly decent amount of atmosphere and tension, which is cool. Super cool. They're about to use the men's restroom. Yeah. I think this film. I think that this film could have yeah. I think Michael is kind of a badass here. It's something a little bit creepy. A little bit creepy. And it's fairly effective for the film. In the scene. Spiders. This film definitely is a beautiful looking film, and that's something I can appreciate, because I think both 5 and 6 don't look really all that beautiful. They're good movies, don't get me wrong, but they don't necessarily have that beautiful flourish that this one has.
No booze, no drugs, no kidding.
No kidding. This is a fairly decent scene. There's Molly, played by Michelle Williams. I haven't really seen much films from Michelle Williams. The Charlie guy, Charlie Devereaux, I think that's his name, and didn't really go on to. The actor didn't go on to star in many films, sadly enough. Jodie Lynn O'Keefe is kind of somewhat famous. There's Janet Leigh, and it's nice to see the daughter-mother duo there. And there's that George Clooney motherfucker. Look at motherfucker. He's basically a discount George Clooney. I think that this film, there's a bit of differing of opinions while this movie was being made. One idea was that the Charlie character was going to be a copycat killer. We'll talk about that later. Here's LL Cool J, the one of only two actors who will rappers who will be making their way to the Halloween franchise. After this is Busta Rhymes. This one's LL Cool J. LL Cool J's a pretty likable dude. I'm more preferential to Busta Rhymes a little bit in his film than I am to LL Cool J in this film. I think LL Cool J is a very likable guy in this film. I think his name is Ronald or Ronald something. There's I hope if we ever get a true Halloween 9. Hope if we ever get a true Halloween 9. Hope that we could see the return of the John Tate character. Because I would like to know where he's been. I would like to know where Tommy Doyle has been. Even would like to know where Lindsay Wallace has been. And Sarah Moyer. I hope that we get an official Halloween 9 that even includes some plot elements of Halloween 3. I hope so. I hope that we could drop this, whatever this nonsense of Halloween Return is. I hope that we could just drop whatever Halloween Returns is, because it doesn't sound all that good of a movie. Sounds like it's going to be another Halloween H20 or Rob Zombie's Halloween, fudging up of the franchise a bit. Not that Halloween H20 fudged up badly, but it still ruined the flow a bit. A fairly decent flow, but I like H20 more than 5 and 6, but still 5 and 6 are Halloween films. And they're still part of the family, and I still like them, but would have been nice to have them be here. This film definitely is filled up with a lot of jump scares. I think it's the most jump scare happy film of the franchise. Not too many other Halloween films. Not even 5. Resurrection doesn't. I don't really remember a jump scare in Resurrection. This one has a lot of jump scares. We had the Ron White. We had that scene. Ronnie White. Fucking him. That's Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 character, Halloween character. But we have Ronald Jones jump scare. We have quite a few jump scares. There's a lot more jump scares to come. I like this little dialogue exchange. I think that's a very intimate dialogue exchange between. Fuck, I forgot that guy's name. His character's name. We'll just refer to him as Discount George Clooney. Discount George Clooney, Dollar Tree George Clooney, and Jamie Lee Curtis having their little dialogue exchange. It's pretty groovy, but I like it. Yeah. I'm talking over it. I'm talking over it, so you can't really hear it. But if you're listening to this, then more than likely, you have seen this movie like 100 times, just like myself. I've seen this movie like 100 times, and I love it. Just like I've seen all the Halloween movies a lot of times. They never get old. I love all Halloween movies. The Rob Zombie 2 are a little bit iffy, if you ask me, in the quality department. Not the hugest fan of those films, but there's just some bit of a charm to them. There's some elements that I really appreciate about the Rob Zombie's Halloween films. I think that there's some definite charm to them, a certain charm, and that I appreciate. There's some things I appreciate about them. So I marginally love those movies, but the original eight, the original eight, I love every single thing. I love all of them. The original eight, I have very little. Sure, there's some things about 5 and 6 that I would change, but for the most part, I like those movies. I love those movies, but I don't really detest elements. There's a lot more cool. There's a lot more of a solid package with Halloween 5 and 6 that I love. Rob Zombie's Halloween, there's just few minor things. A lot of people who watched this movie really say that Josh Hartnett's character, aka John Tate, in this film is a lot like his character in The Faculty. I don't really see much of a similarity, other than they're a little bit rebellious, but I really don't see much of a similarity between the two. I can't believe that there's people who prefer Rob Zombie's Halloween to this. This is definitely a better movie. But that's just my opinion. I'm going to be checking my Facebook. Somebody asked me, do I like Halloween 5? Fuck yeah, I love Halloween 5. It's a great fucking movie. Yeah, we have like the music there. Ronnie. I think this movie kind of lost the point of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode's relationship a bit. There's a few problems I have with this movie. But I'm a fan of it. If I wasn't a fan, I wouldn't be doing this commentary. But I feel like this movie kind of, I appreciate that it, you know, is a little bit more character-based film. I appreciate that. All in all, I appreciate it for doing that. But I kind of feel like introducing bringing Laurie back to the franchise in this form was a bit of a hindrance of the progression of the narrative a bit. That's another reason why I prefer Resurrection over this. I like this element. I like it that we get some cutesy little thing here. That's very cutesy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go to Blu-ray.com because I'm just. Mm-hmm. Wonder what people are saying if they're having marathons. I'm having a marathon. You're having a marathon. Although this is probably the weakest Halloween marathon I've had. Because I don't really think I had much sleep beforehand. One thing I love. One film I think is a Michael Bay Shining Light that Josh Hartnett's in is Pearl Harbor. It's been a long time since I've seen Pearl Harbor from the most beloved of directors by Michael Bay. Don't really have much of a problem with Michael Bay. I think Michael Bay is kind of gets too much shit, but sure he's not. I'm sure I'm not the biggest fan of Michael Bay, but I think Michael Bay isn't as bad as people claim to be. I've seen worse directors getting a lot of praise, and Michael Bay is not a bad actor, a bad director. They showed one little thing about from the original, nod to the original by her seeing Michael there. It's kind of like Laurie in her classroom, but and this scene is the further example of pointing out the glaring flaw that this film had by trying to make Laurie into a Ripley clone, Ripley from Aliens clone, or the Alien quadrilogy clone, here and later on in the films. And yeah, it kind of just defeats the point of the importance of what Michael and Laurie's first encounter in the original. Yeah, it kind of defeats the purpose. Get our music, basically setting up the massacre for later on in this film. This film is definitely an event. Somebody, I was reading a little bit of a forum, and somebody said that this is definitely the event Halloween film. The event Halloween film. Like 20 years later, it's 20 years later, and get the epic return of Laurie and all that, but here's a one scene from that made a that's pretty badass if you ask me. This little, they're not mother-daughter in this scene, but it's just a very, very cool little exchange between the mother character and well, not the character, but it's kind of like it's kind of neat. This has been pretty much said. Anybody who talks about this movie sees that there's a psycho car, and you get the psycho theme, which is kind of cool, neat. Very neat. One thing I should have watched the theatrical version of Halloween the Curse of Michael Myers. I should have. But I didn't. Decided to go with the producer's cut. Yep. Michael has entered the premises. A fellow great YouTuber, a great reviewer by the name of Dr. Wolfila, brought this up. I feel like it's very legitimate criticism. Well, he brought up a portion of this, and a buddy of mine, another buddy that I was, not the same buddy that I was talking about earlier, internet buddy, e-buddy or whatever, I don't know, brought up this point that Ronnie Ronald White in this film definitely feels like he definitely doesn't have much to do with the story other than letting Michael in, and that he just has a separate side story with him being a writer. And yeah, a writer, a erotic writer. I don't know what you would be calling him. Here's Michael coming up. I think Jamie Lee Curtis, there's a bit of a conflicting reports of whose idea this movie was, because there's like three or four different people who claim that this idea of this movie was theirs. First, Jamie Lee Curtis claims that this idea for this movie was hers. Then Malka Cod said it was his idea, and then the Weinsteins said it was their idea. It's really hard to figure out a clear answer of whose idea this movie was. And whoever's idea was, I applaud their efforts. I applaud them. I think it's a good idea for a film. I think it's a really good film. There's a Scream TV, which is a bit of a contradiction. I was speaking about the Scream universe being merging in this film. But back to the idea. This is a nice little dialogue exchange. I really don't think that this is appropriate talk from a teacher, but whatever. But back to whose idea this was. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion of whose idea this definitively was. Don't have a side that I'm on. I really don't, but there's definitely conflicting results or conflicting reports. But here we are. We're getting into the meat of the film, which is pretty cool. Here's our first introduction to Laurie's alcoholism. They didn't really define this a bit, but at least I feel somewhat of a deeper connection to this Lori and her troubles than although it could have been executed a little better, in my opinion. Although it could be executed a little bit better, I feel a deeper connection to this Lori and her troubles, and then I do the sloppy, and silly way of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. But I could bring up Rob Zombie's Halloween and say it's shit or whatever. They're having a lot of food. A lot of food today. Like, I'm very, very funny. I think the setting of this film is very good. Yeah. Excuse me. What do I now let's talk about two of Lori's children. You have Jamie Lloyd who I think is Jimmy Lloyd's from it's definitely Jimmy Lloyd from Halloween 2, the 1981 version. That's his daughter. He must have lived, but I really don't know who in the hell is. Hopefully, it's Jimmy Lloyd, who is John Tate's father. Although although I understand people change and all that shit. Although I don't really buy that Jimmy from the sweet old, that kind of creepy old Jimmy from Halloween 2 would transform into the major asshole that they are self-described in this film as John Tate's father. But whatever. Oh yeah. This is the first 31 days of this year's that's daylight. Yippee. So that's pretty cool. This is pretty good revelations of Jamie, Laurie Strode, Carrie Tate's identity to that character. One thing I like about the Halloween movies, more than the Friday the 13th films, is that there's definitely a consistent change in energy that keeps them consistently entertaining for the most part. Like, if this was like a Friday the 13th marathon, and we were getting to part 7 of Friday the 13th, which is the one with Carrie with Jason finding the Carrie girl,
And then
I think I would be starting to get a little bit bored by this point. Yeah, I don't really think all the Friday 13th movies are all that great, anyways. But whatever. Here we are in the revelation that 17-year-old.
Do you think they made it to 70? Do you think they're there?
I don't know.
I just want to call Charlie.
Can't wait to change the thumbnail.
What is it? What are you doing?
Oh my God.
I'll be back. I got.
Where are you going now?
Here I'm back. Here's the Blu-ray copy from the complete collection. As you can see, it's an orange case. Let's talk about the art of this Blu-ray cover. It's a floating head per posters. It's a floating head of the late 90s, which I kind of like. As you can see, I have like two floating head posters. One for Dracula 2000 and one for Halloween Resurrection. I think Halloween Resurrection has a better poster, but all I think I like Halloween H2O, but I think Halloween Resurrection is better. But Halloween H2O, let's talk about this. Since I talk about the Blu-ray releases, let's talk about this Blu-ray release. I have seen this film in its original DVD form, which I quite like that menu. Oh, there's the there's a bit of a mask controversy. There's a CGI mask. I think that was kind of a cheap scene there, a bit, because the way it just turns around, there really isn't. We don't really see Charlie's death. Whatever. Anyways, yeah, there's different changing of mask, but the mask that's generally used in this film looks great. I think it's a great looking mask. So let's talk about the Blu-ray here. I like this. I like the poster. The original artwork here. Terror won't be taking a vacation. Not definitely a more gimmicky. There he is. Definitely a more gimmicky title than anything, but I'll take it. Got their floating heads there. I like the font. The font is pretty cool. There's the spine. And there's the back. I think it has a pretty cool back. As you can see, there's the Halloween 2 or 1981 30th Anniversary Edition disc. There's a great deal of extras that I really like in this release. So it's definitely worthwhile in order to get this, to get the complete collection. So it's pretty cool. You can definitely feel the breaking of the bones there, which is pretty intense. So back to the original DVD and Blu-ray releases. I've seen this in the original Buena Vista Collector's Edition release. I like that disc menu better than the disc menu on this. But this release definitely is a lot better than the Echo Bridge release. I've seen the Alliance Atlantis triple pack transfer. I think that this Blu-ray has a better transfer. She's about to get stabbed. Yeah, that's a bit odd how he stabs her. Whatever. This is a fairly decent chase sequence. I think there's better chase sequences out there. And even in some Friday the 13th films. John Tate punched him a few times. Paul Rudd beat his ass. Why the fuck didn't people... Why do people have such a fucking problem with Busta Rhymes? Fuck. I definitely see a mask there. This is a very creative shot I like. She's struggling to get to the keys. Which is a bit of a cliche. It's a bit of a cliche, but I like how this handles it, and the dropping of the cliche keys that rhymes. This scene's a bit of a cliche, but I like how it's handled. I think it's original for this type of film. So I don't have much of a problem with it. It's a little bit too convenient that Lori's son stay there, but whatever. That's a very iconic shot. Very iconic. Super iconic. This is when shit gets serious. The beginning portion of this film, it's a little slow, but it's fine. It's more character based, and I appreciate that. Sure, this film it's a little bit too clean and polished for a Halloween film, but it's definitely there's definitely a Scream influence to this, of which I'm not a big fan of Scream, but there's a Scream influence, and I think that served the Halloween films pretty good. We get the shooting here. Ronnie's down. He's a little bit too trigger happy there. Kind of reminds me of like in Halloween 4 when they said, "Oh shit, we shot Ted Hollister." Quick to the gun. This is pretty clever. There's an obvious influence from Halloween, the original, Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2, which is pretty cool. Wade just dropped the knife. She said, "Fuck." She just smacked him in the head like that. Chris Durand, who played Michael in this film, did a serviceable job. He ain't no Brad Lordy, but he did a serviceable job. I like that. Obvious reference from Halloween 1978, the original here. Like, basically, they're this film's equivalent of Lindsay Wallace and Tommy Doyle. This is definitely her transformation into a Ripley clone, Ellen Ripley, which is fine. Michael. Great move there. This scene was an excess scene from an excess scene that didn't make it to Halloween 4. This is very inventive. I think that it's definitely really good. Very creepy. I think I must say the reason why I picked this Halloween film for the final episode until I do my recap is because I barely talk about this particular entry, and I feel like I need to give it some respect because I love Halloween H20. I think it has some weak moments, but overall I love it. This could have been Resurrection, but since I talk about Resurrection a lot, and since I'm a little bit more passionate about Halloween Resurrection than I am about H20, thought why not give this one a fair try? The last year's thing was Halloween 3, which was just a review. I'll go into further detail once I get to my recap sometime tomorrow. Anyways, here we are. I'm definitely, my face is very hairy. And I'm not a very good commentator solely. Whatever. This is the way I roll, baby. LL Cool J is about to come in and kind of help out with making Resurrection's plot plausible. by stopping her. Because Resurrection was planned out before, while this film was being made. He's reassuring her that he's dead, but it's really not. Here's the conclusion to the Ronnie White plot. That's more of a side plot than anything to do with the film. Also, yeah, I'm not really interested in, seeing Ronnie come back for any entries. He's a good character. I like him, but definitely doesn't leave much for me to say, oh, I want him back. I want John Tate back. And we are getting to the end. Which is a very piss poor ending. Back when I was doing the Hell's Leftovers with the other guy, we did one for the 7th entry of the Friday 13th, which I mentioned here. Yeah, that didn't really go into effect because the show's dead, and rightfully so. There's a Friday 13th coming in like 13 days. I might talk about do a commentary for a Friday 13th film. But anyways, I could do one for Wes Craven's New Nightmare, 7 Nightmare on Elm Street film, on Christmas Day. Here we are. I'm not really too happy with them trying to kill off Michael Myers here. I think it's stupid. I think it goes against the pure evil theme of Michael Myers. Plus, if you pay attention to his eyes, it's not really Michael. Doesn't give me the Michael presence. But because his eyes are a little bit too doughy and not as menacing. And if it was Michael Myers, I think he wouldn't be trying to, get on her good side and reach out and say, "Help me, help me." He would be saying, "I want to kill this bitch." It's obviously not Michael Myers. Plus, when she says Michael, he's just getting confused.
Michael.
It looks too much like a doughy eye. I think it would be a lot more aggressive. I don't think this movie is all that great of an ending to the franchise as people claim it to be. It's a good movie. So we got the end theme. So that's been our little fan commentary for our final our Halloween Day special for our fourth annual 31 Days of Horror Film Reviews. Got a good music. We got a good cast. Overall, this movie definitely has some weak moments. It definitely has some stuff that I didn't care for, but it's definitely a good movie. It's definitely a shining light in the franchise. I'm very happy that this film came along. Yeah, and we're getting some Creed, which Creed was very popular in the late 90s. Very popular in the late 90s. I think that they did something for the some music video for like either Scream 2 or 3, and more to them. I don't really think that Scream is. I don't really think Creed is the best music that you would want to end a Halloween film on. But this is a very good song from Creed. Yeah, and yeah. What's this life for? Or this life for? Or special thanks to Patrick Lussier, the writer of this movie, the editor. Special thanks for him editing this movie. He's a terrific filmmaker. I'm very happy to see him get involvement with this film, and would have been nice to see him and Todd Farmer of Jason X and My Bloody Valentine and Drive Angry fame to do their take on the Halloween film instead of Patrick Melton, Marcus Dunstan. But other than that, I would have appreciated them to take on the Halloween franchise. We got John Ottman as the orchestrators. There's a different theme originally for this film that was a little bit more closer to the theme of the original. Yeah, and yeah, we got some stuff here. Yeah. We got Mr. Sandman from Halloween 2, which is a common occurrence in the Halloween franchise. We got Creed, obviously. This is a late 90s film. We got Creed. And we have Plan 9 from Outer Space. And the final thing of this film, all the motion picture and the ownership, and no animal was harmed. You know, the typical stuff, copyright from Max, and the Halloween H20, 20 years later. Released by Dimension Films. In memory of Donald Pleasance, which also was in Halloween 6. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this. Like, comment, subscribe, and I shall see you sometime tomorrow. Bye.